everybody, it's Amy Graham, the Badass Valkyrie, and today I want to go over the focus for next week, which is February 10th, and it's kind of threefold. It is self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-worth, because each one of those feeds into the next. If you don't have self-confidence, you're not going to have self-esteem. If you don't have self-esteem, you're not going to have self-worth. And in order to take care of yourself in the wide world of self-care, if you don't think you're worth it, then you're not going to do it. And that's kind of the basis of it all, is finding your space and taking care of yourself. Taking care of your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul, everything. And if somebody is telling you that you're not worth it, that's their problem, not yours. You don't need to take that on. Believe me, I grew up with that. And it took me a very long time to realize that they were trying to make me small so that it made them feel bigger. And I can tell you right now, I am not a small woman. In presence, in stance, in physical, emotional, or mental areas, I am not small. Wish I was in certain places. I could be, tinier profile. But one of the most defining changes that I made after I, went from 450 pounds to what I am now, which is less than half of that. And my husband was the first one to talk about it, he's like, you have a Captain Sassy Pants walk. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He goes, no wonder nobody ever wants to come up and talk to you, because... And what had happened is when we were in Atlanta, a homeless person had come up to Greg, who's 6'7", bald head, big gauged ears, and looks terrifying, and was trying to get his permission to beg for money. And we were not walking close. It was just kind of we were separated, so you didn't think we were a couple. And I'm like, I'm surprised that he picked you instead of me. And he goes, most people won't approach someone that's so confident and got that Captain Sassy Pants walk. And I was like, he goes, you walk with a purpose, you walk with an attitude. And he goes, and when you're standing still, you have that whole Wonder Woman stance. And I'm like, what? And he goes, look, right now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And literally, yes, it's a Wonder Woman stance. And it has gone so far now that there's even a TED Talk about taking up your own space. And she talks about a Wonder Woman stance. And I'm like, that's what I do. And it's partially because I was so used to being 450 pounds that when I became half of that, I still had to take up space. And I can tell you, from being overseas and coming back to America, I need my space. I need my space. If I'm standing in a line and this person comes up and is like this, and if I can hit you with my purse, if I move, you are too close, person. Back off. And I found that most Europeans don't really have that kind of space boundary like Americans do. And it's kind of discerning. I'm just like, why are you so close to me? Putting out the Wonder Woman stance. And just making my presence there. And I spent so many years, the first 40 years of my life, trying to be as small and as compact as I could. Because I didn't want to take up space. And let me tell you, as a 450-pound woman, you're going to take up a lot of space. But I tried to take the path of least resistance. Physically, mentally, everywhere. I felt like if I could just make myself smaller and shrink down, then no one will pay attention to me. And then they won't comment on how big I am. And I don't have to feel as bad. And let me just tell you, that is complete and utter fucking bullshit. Flat out bullshit. Be who you are. I'm not saying be loud, out there, proud, whatever, in everybody's face all the time. But be loud, be proud, and be who you are. If standing in a Wonder Woman stance makes you feel powerful, use it. If you're 450 pounds, girl, be 450 pounds. Be proud of who you are, where you are right now. Because if you don't feel self-confident and have self-worth and have that self-esteem, no one else is going to see you that way. And I don't mean to be, narcissistic or, abrupt or in everybody's face, like I said. But there is a guideline to not putting yourself down and not making excuses and not putting the blame on everybody else for everything that goes wrong. You have to take responsibility for your life. And you have to take responsibility for who you are and for who you've become. For the longest time, I couldn't, literally, physically could not call myself an athlete. Yet I was training 5 to 7 hours a day, every day. And I couldn't bring myself to call myself an athlete or a runner. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're running a 20-minute mile. You're running a mile. Or you're running a block. Whatever. I don't care how long it takes you. Just because you haven't hit an 8-minute mile doesn't mean that the running police are going to come by and go, nope, you're not a runner. Get off the track. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody cares. Let's be 100% honest here. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you. Everybody's opinion of you is really 110% none of your business. But how you think of you is all your business. And, one of my friends sat me down. I was visiting for the holidays. And she was like, I love that you don't give a shit about what people think of you. And you just do whatever you want to do. And you don't care. And I'm like, I don't. This is who I am. Hat, glasses, no makeup, spandex, whatever. This is me. Now, I am sure that there are a bazillion internet gurus out there right now going, she needs to fix her hair. She needs to do her makeup. She needs to take the hat off. She needs to put on some nicer clothes. This is who I am. And if I was trying to be somebody else, follow all the YouTube rules that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Now, let me clarify that. YouTube guidelines. Because, lighting sucks. I shouldn't be wearing black. I shouldn't be wearing a hat. Whatever. This is me. And I ain't got time to change clothes, do my hair, do my makeup just to get online and get this video out. But I also know that I'm an athlete. And that y'all know I'm an athlete. And that hopefully when you see me not looking as, done up, you can appreciate the fact that I just came in from a run. I did 2.4 miles. And I haven't even eaten breakfast yet. And it is 11:59 on Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning. One more minute until it's afternoon. But if I took the time to get all fancy, I'd never have time to do this. And I would much rather y'all see me as who I am than just think that you have to strive to, reach this level of perfection that I am never going to reach. No. Are there people out there that do better YouTube videos than me? Yeah. But is there anybody out there that works harder than me? Probably. But I can guarantee you that I work as hard as everybody else. And it's funny because my husband gives me a hard time. He doesn't make fun of me. He just gives me a hard time about my arbitrary rules. Like no sugar, no candy, or not no sugar. I do have sugar. I am having no cake, no cookies, no candy, and no pastry. Those 4 things specifically. I still have sugar. And on occasion, I have ice cream. That's not on that list. Nor is it pastry. There's method to my madness. But he's like, well, why can you have that and not the other things? Just seems silly. No, those 4 things, are things that I have a hard time controlling myself with. And ice cream, not so much because, and it's actually not even the ice cream. It's custard or frozen yogurt. Because regular ice cream makes me sick and I cannot tolerate it. But I can, on occasion, have that. And so it's not like I'm giving up sugar, but it's a way to give up uncontrolled sugar and a way to limit myself so that when I have choices that are hard, and especially with cake and candy and cookies and pastries, that I can look back and go, you can live without that. You don't need that. Now, on February 29th, I've already said this, I'm going to go hog wild because that day is not normal in a year. So, am I creating an arbitrary rule for my arbitrary rule? Hell fucking yeah. But it's a celebration and I don't want to give up that celebration. So, am I going to pay the price for it? Yes, I can guarantee that. When I had Coke on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, it took 2 weeks, over 2 weeks, for the inflammation in my hands alone to stop hurting so badly that it didn't bother me to write my morning pages every morning. And that my joints didn't hurt. And that my body didn't feel swollen and inflamed. And because I did that, I saw the cause and effect. And therefore knew, no, I don't want to have Coke for an entire year again. Because I don't like what it does to my body. But the little part in the back of my head was, but it was so delicious. Yes. And I will get through this year knowing that I will have it again in a year. Now, it's a price I pay. It's not a price that I'm willing to pay the entire year. No. But to have 2 days of enjoyment, something that brings me true joy, yes, I will. Just like February 29th. Having that much sugar in one day, probably going to kick my ass. But I'm willing to do it. And it will also be a test to see what that does to my body again afterwards on March 1st. After I come down from the sugar high, which, or sugar coma, That's a possibility too. To see what it does to my body. That may push me over the edge and say, no more sugar at all. Do I know that that's probably the best plan for me? Yes. But I also know that if I cut it out completely, it's never going to work for me. And I will go crazy. But taking those 4 components that I have the least amount of control over out of the equation works for me. I'm not saying it would work for everybody, but it does for me. And that's what's important. So, having arbitrary rules like that let me encounter hard decisions and hard things on my terms. And when I am faced with that kind of a decision out in the world, when I was faced with it yesterday, as a matter of fact. My brother, love him dearly, we went to Overstock.com's outlet store there because they're closing the store here in Salt Lake. And he's like, oh, I have something for you. And I'm like, okay. And he brings out a Sagato's cream puff, which is it's a Hawaiian or a Samoan bakery. And it's this delicate, like donut kind of cream puff that's got this amazing cream on the inside that they do themselves. And then this cherry on the top and then coated in powdered sugar. He's like, look, I had one extra. I thought you would like it. And I'm like, thanks. I can't eat it, but I appreciate the thought and I'll take it home to Greg. And he's like, okay. He goes, yeah, right. Okay. And I'm like, oh, really? I am. And that thing sat next to me in my car for 20 minutes. I'm looking at it going, but I committed to not having something like that. And I made the decision and I gave it to Greg. And I was like, you can either eat it or throw it away. It's up to you. No judgment either way. I said, but I know that I'm not going to eat it. He goes, I'm eating it. Your arbitrary rules don't matter to me. I'm like, nope, they do not. So I felt good about making that choice. And just like I feel good about making the choice on February 29th to go and buy as many macaroons as I can and shove them in my mouth. You know, what the only difference to that is it's a day that I choose and it's a celebration. It's not just some random, hey, I bought you this, eat it. No, thank you. You know, I've turned away several parties, things like that. I know Valentine's Day is going to be hard because my husband usually buys me a Queen Amande. And I said, he was like, I don't know what to get you because I can't get you what I normally get you. I said, we will have those on the 29th. And I said, just save it up and we'll do it then. He was like, okay. You know, my beloved chocolate frogs. I'm like, I miss my chocolate frogs. I'm not going to get them this year. But I'll have them on the 29th. So, my arbitrary rules, and you could do that to anything, like running a half marathon, doing a triathlon. You know, people are like, triathlons really aren't your thing, I don't think. And I'm like, whether they are or not, I'm still going to do them because it is something that I am not comfortable doing. And the fact that I've had to back off and not do them when I've had to pay for them, I'm like, no, I'm getting at least another year in before I call it done. You know, one of my goals for this month is to get back in the pool and back on the bike. And I feel like I can do that. Although it has occurred to me too, come March 14th, I'm going to be in Lumberton, Mississippi, and I'm going to be fighting. And I'm like, I have not been in armor in a year. I need to do that too. So later on today, I think, maybe, or I will at least prepare this week to get into armor next week. But I will be pushing myself to that. And then I will decide whether or not I'm going to continue. But I'm not to that point yet. I'm not to that point where I'm going to take that out of the hard things that I'm doing. And part of the reason I go into that story is because it helps my self-confidence. Because when I sit here and say that I am an athlete, that I'm a sword fighter, that I am a runner, that, I've lost over 250 pounds, I can say that because I've done it. And I couldn't say that if I hadn't. I mean, like I said, it took me over a year just to say that I was a runner and an athlete. But I already was. I just couldn't admit it to myself because I felt like somebody needed to come by and go, yep, you're an athlete. Go on, you can do it. You have the title now. No. There is no run police. There is no, weight loss police, whatever. If you feel like you are that way, have the confidence to say that you are. If you're a writer, a runner, whatever, just believe in yourself enough to do it. And take the time to realize that if you are not confident in yourself, it can come down to how you stand, even, obviously, but how you feel about yourself, whether you're kind to yourself or not, whether you have negative self-talk, that affects your self-confidence, your self-worth, and your self-esteem. And what you put out into the world is what you get back. I believe that wholeheartedly. And if you're negative about everything, that's what you're going to get back, is negativity. So try to not put the blame on everybody else. Take responsibility for your life, because that way you can have confidence in yourself. Because from today on, no matter what happens, it's your choice. Nobody else controls you. Nobody else should control you. You have the control, and you can determine how you feel about yourself, and have the confidence in yourself to believe that. I wish I had learned that lesson years and years and years ago. But it took getting out of my parents' house and figuring out who I was and what I wanted to do. And it wasn't instant. It took me till my late 40s to sit there and figure out, you know what? I get to be anybody I choose to be. Whether someone else doesn't like me or not, whether somebody else thinks that I should be quieter or not, or I shouldn't say that, or I shouldn't curse, or I shouldn't wear that. I don't give a rat's ass about any of that. If I feel comfortable in it, if I feel pretty in it, if I feel strong in it, that's what matters. I'm not going to dress for anybody else. Well, I'll take that back. I do dress for other people sometimes. Just because I'm like, I'm feeling myself. And so I guess it is that I'm like, I'm doing it. When I went to share, I was feeling myself. I couldn't help it. I was in a good mood and I loved the way I looked. And then I was just like, I need more sequins in my life. If you want to wear sequins and glitter, do it. If you want to wear spandex and running clothes, do it. If you want to wear nothing at all, do it. I have recently discovered Lizzo. Oh my goodness. That girl rocks it. She was Entertainer of the Year, Times Entertainer of the Year, and she is unapologetic. And it's just like, this is me. Whether you like it or not, this is me. Well, this is me. And I'm not the perfect planner. I'm not the perfect self-care person. I'm not the perfect person to tell everybody how to focus on everything. But I'm confident enough that I want to share what I've learned. And everything that I put out in this channel is what has helped me. And I just want to share that. And yeah, I have the confidence to do this because it's something that I would do whether I got positive feedback or not, because I enjoy it. It's a great hobby, and I love sharing things about planners, about notebooks, about stationery, about fighting, about running, about personal strife and learning and growth. And I know most of you are here because you came here because of my notebooks and all of that. But you know what? There's a lot that goes into those. And I have learned so much just by doing morning pages. I've been doing them every day since Christmas Day. And I have almost filled my notebook. And can I just tell you, I am so excited every morning when I'm like, it's almost full. So when I do reach that, which will be February 25th, I will share that with you guys. But I love that. And it brings me joy, and it brings me happiness, and it brings me confidence. And I feel like that just kind of rolls into self-worth and self-esteem. I can't make you feel stronger about yourself. I can't make you feel better about yourself. But what I can do is give you the tools that can possibly get you there. And just realizing that when other people are negative around you, or when you're negative about yourself, that you're only being a detriment to yourself, and that's what's going to come back to you. And so having a positive self-worth and having self-esteem, whether it's, go the simple route. Just try standing up straighter and looking people in the eye. That is one of the things that I noticed about myself first, was that, and I noticed it because so many people were not looking me back in the eye. So this next week, focus on standing up straighter, having better posture, and looking people in the eye. It will help you realize, that you do have self-confidence, and you have a reason to be self-confident. And there is nobody else like you on the planet. Everybody's like, oh, everybody's the same. We're all human. Yes, we are all human, but we all have very different ways we think, way we talk, way we stand, everything. Try to incorporate ways that make you feel more self-confident. When you look in the mirror every morning, don't focus on the negative. Focus on the positive. Find one thing positive to say about yourself. And don't say anything negative. Or think it. Don't have negative self-thoughts, self-talk, anything like that. Just focus on the positive. And I guarantee you, it will help your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and your self-worth. So there you have it. It is the focus for the week: self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-worth. Try to figure out ways for you that will help increase that. And let me know down below or on the Facebook group how you do. Because I've told you what helped me. And so I would love to know what helps you. Okay? That's it. I hope last week went well for everybody, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.